I refused to support my sister after she migrated. Now she's furious.
Well, sis, that's a miss.
Ooh. I, 40 male, emigrated from the UK to Australia several years ago to live with my now wife and have 2 lovely kids. My sister Anna, 43 female, has visited Australia a couple of times with her 2 kids, who are under the age of 10, and had been keen to immigrate herself. But her circumstances, like career age and low income, don't permit it, so she had to let the dream go. By the way, this comes from user cleanappointment837 on the r/charlottedobreyoutube subreddit. If you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, Anna is English, a single mom living near a city, and very girly. She loves pink stuff, pillows, glitter, baking, and crafting. When she came for my wedding several years back, she first met my wife's cousin, Mark, 49 male. Mark is a true blue Aussie who wears singlets, drives trucks and farm equipment for a living, enjoys quite a few cans of Fosters each evening, and smokes like a chimney, and is rough around the edges. Fair enough. Picture the bar scene in the outback at the start of Crocodile Dundee. He lives in a small rural town far from everything to be near his 3 kids from his previous marriage. Mark and Anna had been messaging from opposite sides of the world since meeting at my wedding. Recently, without telling anyone, he went to the UK to visit her for a week. Shortly after that trip, they told me that during this week, together, they confessed their love for each other. It's so sweet.
That's like long distance relationship to the max. Like I'm doing a long distance relationship that's 2 hours away. I can't imagine like half the world away.
Literally on the other side of the planet.
Right. Thank God for the internet, you know?
Yeah. Well, we'll see if this turns out to be beneficial. I was surprised. They'd only spent a few days physically together, and Mark's rough demeanor seemed the opposite of what Anna would go for. They appeared to be a very odd fit, like the story of Overboard with Goldie Hawn. I told myself that even though they'd only been together briefly, they'd been messaging for years. After all, my relationship with my now wife was long distance until I immigrated too. I hoped their differences would be their strengths, and that Anna had seen the man beneath the exterior, and that Mark would help her relax and be less demanding. Very quickly, I was informed that Anna was emigrating to Australia. She would apply for a partner visa with Mark, since she was now in a relationship with an Australian citizen. This was incredibly fast. Having done it myself, emigrating is massive, moving your entire life, especially with 2 kids and for a very new relationship. I was concerned it would all go wrong, but they're both adults, and I hoped it would be good for them both. I was worried for myself, too. I had a quiet, happy, relaxed life in Australia, and Anna can bring drama. She'd brought tension before when visiting, being moody and giving the silent treatment when not getting what she wants. When she came for my wedding, we took her to a beachside town, and she got moody because it wasn't what she was hoping for. The tension made my wife really uncomfortable days before our wedding, but since they were going to live with Mark several hours away, I figured it'd be okay. Close enough to visit, but not every day. Together, they paid for the flights and shipping her furniture and pet cat, though I heard later that Mark covered most costs due to Anna's low income. Mark flew to the UK to meet them, helped pack, and then took the flight back to Australia a few days later. 2 back-to-back 24-hour flights. Anna had sold most of their possessions to fund expenses, except for items being shipped over. As soon as they landed in Australia, they stayed overnight at my house before continuing to Mark's place. The atmosphere was immediately tense, and Anna was very grumpy with Mark. Already? Oh, no.
Like, this is so fast. Like, I get that they're talking on the internet for however many months, but there's such a different energy when you're, like, speaking with someone on the internet and when you meet them in person. It's kind of like how when you meet someone on Zoom and you see them in person, it's like, oh, I didn't realize you're that tall.
Right, exactly. You know? And it's also probably pretty intense after moving your entire life to the other side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
She told me it was stress and fear from having just immigrated. I was absolutely overjoyed when I emigrated, but everyone's different, so I dismissed it, though I worried about how cold she was with him. She really seemed to dislike Mark, and I knew he loved her. Even when he sat next to her and held her hand when she was stressed, I could see she didn't want him to. She loved living in Australia. To help her settle in, Mark gave her free rein to redecorate his home. She repainted the kids' bedrooms and bought furniture and nicer clothes for Mark, but quickly it became clear their relationship wasn't going great. She'd been sleeping on the floor since arriving. She'd call me periodically upset about their latest argument, mostly culture shock stuff. Mark lives like a rural Australian, which clashed with the organized, clean household she's used to. Mark called me, too, upset at how cold she was being. He loved her, but she wouldn't even cuddle or kiss him since arriving. This really reads like she was just doing this to get, the immigration status in Australia.
You know what this reminds me of? 90 Day Fiancé.
Yeah, exactly.
I've only seen one season, but it's exactly like a 90 Day Fiancé story. They do their internet talking. They do whatever they can to get to the country. Once they're in person, there's such a shift in their communication and their personality.
Yeah.
It seems like she either just wanted to get there or wanted the princess treatment, and like the princess treatment isn't what she got from her rural Aussie boyfriend.
Yeah, you're the princess of the Outback. Maybe she got confused and she was like, oh my God, he owns Outback? This guy's rich.
Oh my God, I'm going to be the queen of kangaroos.
Christmas came a few weeks after she arrived. I had previously told Anna she could stay at my place with her kids for Christmas Day, thinking it was odd she didn't want to spend her first Christmas in Australia with the man she loves. Closer to the time, I changed my mind, and this may make me the a-hole here. I was already hosting some of my wife's family overnight just before Christmas, putting on Christmas dinner for over 30 people, and then Anna and her kids would arrive the same day my existing guests were leaving. The thought of changing all the rooms and cooking another Christmas dinner within days seemed overwhelming. My kids were unsettled, and my wife and I were overstressed. As a middle ground, I suggested Anna and her kids, and Mark, stay in my sister-in-law's empty house 4 minutes away from mine. Anna and her kids had visited there before. They could come over as soon as they got up on Christmas morning to hang with us. I would still do dinner for them, but it would be more helpful for my little family if they didn't sleep here too. Anna blew up. She accused me of canceling Christmas entirely and refused the offer of staying nearby in a quote-unquote strange house, then ignored my messages. She said she was going to stay with Mark's family instead and wouldn't come to mine for Christmas at all. Well, I guess you got what you want. She's spending Christmas with her husband.
Why is she acting like that's such an inconvenience for OP? Like, it's not like OP was to cook 2 Christmas dinners.
Right.
He was trying to accommodate his sister, and then when she doesn't like the accommodation, it's like, well, then fine, I'm not coming after all. Boo-hoo, sucks for you. And it's like, no, you're the one who wanted this.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm confused, but go spend it with your Australian boyfriend and his family. That's probably a good idea.
Who she claims to love. Who paid for her to move to this country.
Yes, who you claim to love. I invited her to visit when she wanted, since they were so close by, but she didn't reply. As bad luck would have it, my wife, kids, and I all got gastro on Christmas Day, so she wouldn't have been able to come over anyway. She did come by on Boxing Day briefly to collect the presents. We bought them all. Over the following months, I gave both of them advice over the phone when they'd call after arguments. They both seemed completely hung up on their own feelings and unable to consider the other person's perspective. So I saw it as a communication issue. Anna had packed up her life and moved across the world and was stressed, while Mark had put thousands into moving this woman into his home, who was now treating him like a stranger. I usually encouraged them to see the best in each other, communicate without judgment, and work on thinking about each other instead of themselves. I really tried to be impartial and encourage them to make things work. They told me they were in love after all. Anna needed me as a witness in the visa application, so despite everything they were telling me about their relationship, she needed me to write a supporting statement. Not convinced, I called my sister to ask about their relationship. I wasn't going to say they were a couple if they really weren't. I asked Anna straight out if she loved Mark, and she said she did. I thought, what? You haven't said one nice thing about him in months, and you never kiss or cuddle or hold hands. Mark told me separately that they were definitely not together, and Anna had never told him that she loves him since he first visited her in the UK. All affection from her had stopped before he even went to help them move. Yet Anna was telling me she loves him and they were in a relationship. An imperfect relationship, but a relationship nonetheless. I dragged my heels, deciding whether to do a statement. Over just a few months, it became clear Mark was convinced Anna had lied about loving him and was just using him to get a visa. He still didn't want to punt them out because he wanted the best for Anna's 2 kids, so he intended to grin and bear his way through the years the visa process would take. Mark was already dependent on booze, and his father had recently passed away, and his feelings sent him into a downward spiral. He was drinking a lot each evening and arguing with Anna about how she had used him. Anna said the image Mark had painted of himself over their texts as a clean, tidy gentleman was all a lie. When she realized he wasn't that, she felt catfished and shut down. She said he was a rude, dirty, discriminatory, crass, mean man. Either way, once in Australia, Anna didn't want a relationship with Mark, but was either sticking around for the visa or trying to make it work. Mark's claim is that she knew she didn't want the relationship before leaving and just did it for the visa. Anna's is that she did want the relationship but changed her mind after arriving. I find it really hard to believe that you didn't consider, like, maybe I should wait before moving my entire life to Australia because I don't know this guy well enough. I think you said, this guy's going to get me into Australia. You should just admit it. That's what it looks like. What it reads like. Before long, Anna called saying the house was toxic and Mark would drink too much and regularly scream at her, and she was walking on eggshells, so she needed to leave and go back to the UK urgently. While Mark was at work, she packed and drove to my house, which is nearer to the airport. She didn't tell Mark she was leaving, so to make sure he didn't come home to an empty house and be surprised, I called him to warn him they'd all left while he was at work. That seemed the decent thing to do. Brother, that's neither here nor there. I had asked Anna to let him know, but she wouldn't talk to him. Mark was devastated. No longer in a relationship, her permission to be in the country was no longer valid, so she had to leave as soon as possible. Anna and the kids stayed with me for 4 days while she sorted return flights. I helped her pack, took them to the airport, and said goodbye. It was such a shame to end that way. After they left, I messaged them a little over the next week, just a couple of messages and a video call. They were staying with friends and then a hostel, applying for new places to stay, and Anna got her old job back. After the first week, though, I didn't message again for the next 3 weeks. I was pretty busy with my own life, and so relieved that all the drama was gone, and I could focus on getting my own little family back to normal. Living on opposite sides of the world, such a gap in contact wasn't unusual for us, although I accept she would have been in a stressful situation of having to rebuild her life. And by the way, you don't have to rebuild your life if you just listen to full episodes with stories just like this on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime. We do have a little bit more story left, but I mean, this is his sister, so like, where are we at emotionally here? He's just like, I'm glad I have my peace.
Yeah, I think he's trying to do the best for both parties because he's got a vested interest, because Mark is related to his wife, and then this is, or either Nozer is related to his wife, right? And so this is his sister, so he's got a vested interest because he's going to have to interact with these people no matter what, some point in his life. It's remarkable to me how little he talks about how it's affecting his family and his own sanity in this.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be something weighing on it. Like, you can't play referee without this personally affecting you. I think that maybe also he's just used to his sister being like this.
That is
and
probably
just being
true.
Kind of insane.
Yeah. Growing up, knowing exactly how she is. I mean, but that's a wild thing to do, to just pick up your whole life. Probably, I mean, I'm making an assumption by saying she wanted that visa, but like everything is screaming like she just thought it was like quick in and out visa, and then I can like leave the relationship maybe. And like, that's not fair to Mark. There's people who agree to do that all the time.
You can hire them out to do it.
Yeah, but Mark also not cool with. Mark's got a drinking problem and he's screaming at her like he can't.
Right.
You just got to have peace, prioritizing peace in your life
Mm-hmm.
over the problem. But let's finish this story. After 3 weeks, I sent her a silly photo of an English product I didn't know could be found in Australia that I thought she would find funny. She didn't respond, so I left it. We messaged her on her birthday, but it was left unread. Well, now she's got a problem with you? Oh, that's not fair. My wife reached out to her to check in, and Anna replied, clearly furious with me. She blamed me for not checking in on her enough, accused me of canceling Christmas on her, and said I was siding with Mark because I always gave her advice to work on their relationship and be supportive and understanding of Mark's feelings. I mean, it would be a pretty tough spot to know, like, this girl that you thought you're in love with and is in love with you. It just becomes glaringly obvious she's just, like, not into you. And then also he lost his dad.
Right.
Like,
And he spent thousands to get her to Australia. I think the sister's clearly in the wrong, but it's also not his responsibility to be checking up on her every single day. He's got his own life. You've got your own life. He's already helped you enough.
Exactly. Anna says this was me blaming her and not Mark, who she calls the She hasn't spoke to me in months now. Am I the a-hole? Should I have contacted her more? Does not checking in more make me a bad person? Was I wrong for changing the Christmas plans? Did I really side with or was Anna just using Mark to get a visa from the start? You're not really the a-hole. You could always contact people more, but you're on the opposite sides of the planet. You didn't, the Christmas plans, no, you weren't wrong. I don't know. It sounds like he would get intoxicated and be, like, vocally aggressive, which is not good. But, like, he's also going through a lot. And
he's also living knowing that she doesn't love him.
Right. So it's just bad. It's just bad all around. And the solution to that situation was to just clean cut it off. I'm going back to England. I'm going back to the UK. But I wouldn't say that you were the bad guy in that story. Just prioritize your peace.
I kept my pregnancy from my aunt. Now my family is in chaos.
Ooh, chaos pregnancy.
Worst kind of pregnancy. I, 37 female, recently gave birth in May 2025. I'll refer to myself as M. There's extensive backstory regarding my mother's brother and his wife that led me to go low to no contact with them about 10 years ago. My aunt has been unkind to me since childhood, creating anxiety around family gatherings that lasted well into adulthood. By the way, this story comes from Purple Lettuce 9682 on the r/dustythunder subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, growing up, I preferred quiet birthday celebrations at home with family rather than big parties. I have ADHD, and other children's parents judged me for it, which affected how their kids treated me. I felt more comfortable staying home, having a good meal with my family, and playing games rather than risking judgment or having no one show up to a party. My aunt always had a problem with this. On my 11th birthday, I made the mistake of telling her my real plans. She interrogated me about why I wasn't hanging out with friends, pointing out that my cousin, 3 days older than me, had all his friends over for a big party. I felt like a failure for not wanting to hang out with the friend group that has kept me on the outside. I felt ashamed that I wasn't accepted enough to feel comfortable having a big party. It's the kids' party. It's what they want to do.
Yeah, it's like overbearing, like family member being like, well, this kid likes this. Why don't you like it this way? And it's like, well, because I'm a different kid.
Right. It's like, I feel like part of the time, the parties are for the parents, not for the kid. Like, the parties are fun and all, but if you're not doing what the kid wants, then it's just for you.
Yeah, and they're just like, I'm just trying to make you a better person. I'm just trying to make your life better. It's like, well, maybe I just like not feeling like the odd man out of my own birthday party, the odd girl out.
Birthday parties are exhausting sometimes, you know?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Dude, just sleep over low key, stay home, eat dinner, you know?
Yeah, if that's what you want to do. Yeah, let the 11-year-old do whatever they want for their birthday.
My mother stepped in, saying she just wants a quiet birthday this year, but I never forgot how it made me feel. From then on, my parents helped me create stories to tell my aunt so I wouldn't be put down for my birthday preferences. Every year brought anxiety about messing up the story, and I'd feel relieved after getting off the phone without being judged. Why do you need to make like a cover story for your own birthday? That's so incredibly sad.
Yeah, just stop like letting the aunt be in charge of the birthday.
Why is the aunt's feelings what matters?
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things.
Family dynamics are weird.
Yeah.
This continued until I was 19 and had college friends to go out with. Family gatherings were equally anxiety-inducing. My aunt excelled at quick negative digs and controversial conversation. One recurring topic was asking my grandparents if they'd still love her children if they came out as attracted to the same gender. Then asking, what if M told you she was attracted to the same gender? Would you still love her? She'd also push controversial political viewpoints and interrogate us, lecturing anyone who disagreed. The last time she indirectly asked if I was attracted to the same gender happened at a family wedding. After meeting my male cousin's girlfriend, my aunt asked him how he'd feel if I told them I was attracted to the same gender. For the first time, someone stood up for me. He asked, why would you ask me that? That's a really mean question.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this has been a failure of, like, the parents to step in and be like, hey, sweetie, just know that your aunt is, like, kind of a silly fool. Like, you don't have to take anything she says ever seriously.
Yeah.
You don't.
This is clearly a very aunt who needs to control the narrative, who needs everyone to know what they think about them.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know how they would do this, but someone in the family needs to put this woman in her place. Or maybe not even in the family, just someone in the world needs to let her know, you are not the main character.
Someone, please. Yeah.
The whole table agreed, and the conversation dropped. I believe she kept questioning my spicy preferences because I didn't date in high school at my small private Christian school, assuming I was hiding it out of shame. The final straw came during my nurse practitioner doctorate program. Instead of being proud, my aunt sent articles about nurse practitioners' medication errors resulting in patient unaliving to my grandparents. When my grandparents proudly called me doctor, she'd correct them, saying I wasn't a real doctor. To be clear, I'm not a medical doctor. I have a doctorate in nursing practice, a DNP.
Which is a doctor, just not a medical doctor.
This felt like pure hatred, because it is. When I was 15, she asked what I wanted to be when I grew up. I mentioned wanting to be a doctor or a surgeon, and she told me I wasn't smart enough, that I'd need a 4.0 and I had a B in math. My ADHD and autism made learning challenging, but I'm not stupid. Unfortunately, negative comments often hurt more than positive ones help. Though my parents and grandparents were wonderfully supportive cheerleaders, my aunt's mockery and teachers' comments that I wouldn't make it at a 4-year university stayed in my head. Okay, so now it's the teachers too.
Yeah. All the adults are failing OP right now.
I think what would have been more helpful than just telling OP, no, it's okay, you're doing well, like she's just crazy. They need to confront the aunt on her behalf, like the cousin did.
Yeah.
They need to tell her, shut up. This is my child. You're not allowed to disrespect my child like that.
Yeah, just being like, why are you saying this? Why would you say that?
I became an NP partly because I believed them, that I wasn't smart enough to be an MD. Now I know that's not true. When my grandparents told me what she was saying about my profession, I decided I didn't want her toxicity in my life anymore. I asked my family to stop sharing information about me with that side of the family. For the first time, I felt at peace. This decision meant separate Christmas gatherings, and I had the best Christmas with my family in 2017. No fear, worry, or anxiety about what might happen. My parents also started limiting contact with her after seeing my peace, and I'm proud I helped them find courage to stop keeping the peace for someone who didn't care about everyone else's peace. Fast forward to 2023. I'd been with my boyfriend for 6 years, proposed New Year's Eve 2022, and we married in August 2023. It was a small wedding without that side of the family, since I'd gone low to no contact with my aunt, uncle, and 3 cousins. I went low contact with the cousins because I realized I was the only one trying to maintain relationships. When I stopped reaching out, years passed without contact. I never blocked them, they just didn't care enough to reach out. Okay.
Ouch.
After our wedding, I posted a picture of myself, my husband, and our 3 fur babies on Facebook. That's how I announced our marriage. I don't like being the center of attention, so I avoid big announcements. If they cared about me, they would have been asking about me, but they didn't. Since I wanted peace at my wedding, I didn't send invitations. They reached out at Christmas, sending a present with a note congratulating me on my marriage and saying to reach out if I ever wanted to talk. I felt petty not wanting to talk to them, but they broke the relationship. It's on them to fix it. They have my phone number, but never call or text. I think they sent the message because the optics looked bad when they discovered I'd married. I didn't reach out because I'm okay with no communication. About my pregnancy. It was my second pregnancy, and I was anxious due to my first pregnancy's history, but thankfully it was easy with normal checkups. My parents had better speaking terms with my aunt and uncle and asked if they could mention the pregnancy since this would be the first grandchild on our side. I preferred they not offer the information, but if asked how I was doing, they could share after 13 weeks. I gave the same instructions to my grandparents. If my uncle really cared about my well-being, he would ask. They never asked about me or my husband during my entire pregnancy.
Yeah, communication flows both ways.
My dad's family loves my husband and me, asking regularly how we're doing. After 13 weeks, my parents shared when family asked. I was induced at 37 weeks, 6 days due to the baby's size on scans. The day after my birth, my sister, grandparents, and parents visited us at the hospital. We coordinated outfits and took our first family picture. Later, I created a cute slideshow from hospital pictures and posted it on Facebook for friends and family. That's when the phone calls and messages started. My cousins called my grandparents, who excitedly talked about my son when asked. The cousins reportedly ended by saying they still loved my grandpa, making my grandma feel blamed for not offering pregnancy information before my Facebook post. In a second call with my two girl cousins, my grandparents suggested, "Why don't you girls give Em a call after we hang up?" I never received that call. Text messages from my aunt to my mom began. She wrote about how hurt my uncle was not being told about my pregnancy and how hurt he was to never know about my son. She said he didn't deserve this treatment, that maybe I'd asked them not to share, but it was hurtful that when uncle visited and played cribbage with my father, dad never mentioned I was expecting. She claimed they'd tried reaching out, inviting me to my two girl cousins' weddings, which I didn't attend, and sending the Christmas letter, which I didn't respond to. To be clear, I made no official announcement to anyone. I never personally told my other aunts and uncles either. I always intended to announce him with the slideshow post. When other family asked my parents about me, my parents shared. Then those relatives called to check in with me directly. I'm uncertain why my maternal uncle would be offended by being treated like all my other aunts and uncles. By the way, you don't have to, check up too regularly with excess effort. You can just listen to all these stories, full stories, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you want. You don't have to fully call in and talk to someone or send Christmas letters.
That's right. It's easier than a phone call. It's just a little search on your phone using your thumbs.
There is one relevant update, but before we get to that, Dakota, how are you feeling about this family?
I mean, I think, if you're a person who just doesn't like big announcements and big stuff, it's a lot of people would expect oh, you're pregnant or oh, you're getting married. You need to make it so that the whole world knows it. And then if you don't, act the way they would expect, they're like, well, this is wrong. And now I'm offended because I've been left out. And it's especially when it comes to the pregnancy stuff, it's literally nobody was told at all. I don't know. I think just prioritize your own family, prioritize your children, prioritize your husband, prioritize the family that has your back, and don't worry about the noise.
My mom tried calling my aunt and uncle after the messages. They screened the call and didn't answer. She responded via text, explaining that aunt and uncle never ask how I'm doing, so my parents assumed they didn't care. She noted that if I didn't respond to the Christmas note, that indicated I'm okay with our current relationship status. She confronted my uncle about his recent comment that it would be too difficult to try to have an adult relationship with Em at a distance, when asked why he didn't call or message me, and asked why they haven't picked up the phone in all these years. They never responded, and my mom said she won't reach out again. My grandparents know what's happening, and Grandma has suggested I reach out to my uncle to heal our relationship. Why though? She doesn't need it.
Because sometimes grandmas just want peace, It's like Viserys at the end of his days.
If only he hadn't sleep-talked, we would be good.
Oh, everything would be fine. Shout out House of the Dragon listeners.
Season 1. I'm starting to question if I'm actually the a-hole for asking my family not to discuss my pregnancy unless family asks about my well-being, since it's upset my grandparents so much and seems to be the final nail in my mom and aunt's relationship. So, am I the a-hole? No. No one's entitled to know about your baby. It's your private family life. Like, if these people weren't related to you, you wouldn't be telling them that, really. And you didn't tell any of your other relatives. They clearly don't care about you. They don't care about your well-being. They've tormented you all these years. They don't reach out. They're making no effort to atone, apologize, or repair that relationship on their own. It can't be all on you.
And it doesn't
like you
even
said earlier,
feel like
it's a two-way street.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you would have hid it from them if they had actually reached out and been like, "Hey, how are you doing? We're thinking about you," like blah blah blah. But they never ever did that a single time. So then they're like, "Well, why didn't you tell us?" It's like, "'Cause you guys don't like me." What do you mean? But
I probably like they're keeping tabs on, like, you keep tabs on your worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah, that is the vibe.
Or they just don't have enough drama or anything else going in their lives. So it's like, I need to know what's happening with my least favorite relative.
Yeah. Well, but I know what's happening now because that's the end of that story. My sister refused to accommodate my kids, so we left her wedding.
Not the happiest day of their life, clearly.
Absolutely not. My sister recently had a destination wedding on a cruise ship. The ceremony was held before the ship departed, since a few of us, including myself, couldn't afford the full cruise. I'm a single mom and money is extremely tight. She asked me to be a bridesmaid, my 6-year-old daughter to be the flower girl, and my 3-year-old son to be the ring bearer. I agreed, even though I knew it would be a financial stretch. And by the way, this comes from user Clementine126. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, I paid for my own dress, my son's outfit, the 3-hour drive, and a hotel stay the night before. It was a lot, but I wanted to support her, and she knew how much I was sacrificing to be there. The morning of the wedding, we got ready at the hotel and then headed to the cruise terminal. After going through security, we sat in a crowded waiting area for 2 to 3 hours, and by around 11 a.m., my toddler was now starting to unravel. He was overstimulated, tired, and clearly needed a nap. Me too, buddy.
I mean, it's not like he's 3 years old or anything.
Yeah, not like he's 3.
It's also something I never understood is, like, why do weddings have to be so expensive for the people who are not getting married?
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing. I mentioned to my mom that my son could probably rest in my sister's room when she got on the ship to finish getting ready. My sister was right there when I said this and didn't object, so I assumed it was okay. Once we boarded and tried to head to her room, we were stopped. My sister's wedding planner told us point blank that no children were allowed in the room. I went upstairs, stressed and overwhelmed, and the planner came up to me a few minutes later to say she was sorry. She said it was my sister's request that the kids not be let in. There was nowhere quiet or private for him to rest on the ship. She had told us we could eat at the buffet while we waited, but realistically, she was expecting me to go through a crowded buffet line with 2 kids, one of them already in meltdown mode, completely alone. At this point, I lost it. I didn't cause a scene. I just took my kids and left the wedding area. I ended up sitting elsewhere on the ship with my son screaming in full meltdown mode during what would have been the ceremony. To make things worse, I later saw Facebook photos from the wedding of my sister getting ready in the room with all the other bridesmaids and our 11-year-old niece. So it wasn't a no kids thing. It was just that my kids weren't welcome. I wasn't even included in the getting ready photos. I haven't spoken to my sister in 4 months. She recently reached out saying she misses my kids and wants to see them. Well, that's pretty convenient after you exiled them from your room and made my 3-year-old have a tantrum.
Well, hold on. It's like 11-year-old is very different than 3 years old being
But the
allowed
whole
into
point-
a room.
The whole point of him being in there is for him to take a nap.
Right. But also, she never asked the sister. She asked the mom. And, like, even though,
True.
like, you're in earshot, you
True.
can't assume someone is always listening and paying attention.
Yes.
Like, I'll be sitting here thinking my own thoughts or doing something. It's the sister's wedding. She's got a lot on her mind.
Of course.
I'll be sitting here. You could be talking at me. I'll be like, sorry, I was 1,000 miles away. What
Yeah.
did you say?
Well, the good thing here is like the wedding planner is the one telling you this, but like you can tell the wedding planner, hey, my sister, who's the bride, actually said my kid can go in here. Can we talk to her really quick? Can we just run that by her real quick?
Right.
Like it's, again, it's communication. Clear communication is key. I responded that she hurt both mine and my daughter's feelings, and I explained why. My daughter had been so excited to be a flower girl, and she heard everything that happened. She heard our other sister, who I already had conflict with, aggressively say, "You're not allowed in the room. The bride doesn't want the kids there." She saw me stressed. She saw her brother melting down, and she got the clear message that we were being shut out. So she's hurt too. My sister's response was that it wasn't her fault my son had a meltdown, that I was the one who chose to leave her wedding, and that I might understand when I get married. She told me not to blame her for what happened, and I told her directly that I do blame her. You don't invite small children to be a part of a wedding, especially in a stressful, overstimulating environment like a cruise ship, and then make zero accommodations for their basic needs. Facts. Big facts.
I absolutely agree with that part. I don't think it's the sister's fault per se, but I think that she did not consider that kids have needs that are not adults' needs.
Right. It's like you're gonna have to figure out, hey, the ring bearer needs a nap now. It's like, okay, my room's probably the best place. And it's like, dude, when a 3-year-old needs a nap, they will nap. Oh, they will.
Or they will yell and scream and raise a ruckus if they don't.
If they don't, exactly. You got to get the nap. There's the fine line. Once they reach that point, they're like, So she clearly understands accommodations. She arranged vegan food at dinner the night before for one guest, so she knows what that looks like. She just didn't extend any of that to us. I didn't ask for anything unreasonable. I asked for a tired toddler to lie down for a bit in a quiet room. I showed up. I did everything I could do to support her. But in that moment, she made it clear that her comfort, photos, and plans were more important than our basic needs, and it hurt. Now she's saying I should apologize for, quote, leaving her wedding, since she spent money having me there, and that I caused that hurt to my children. But I didn't scream. I didn't disrupt anything. I removed myself and my kids because we had no support, no options, and no compassion. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for leaving my sister's wedding and for still believing she owes me and my daughter an apology? And we do have some comments, but I would say you're not the a-hole. I would say not, because you were already financially stretched and you made it out there to be involved in the wedding, and then you and your kids got told, oh, well, we got nothing for you.
I don't think anyone is particularly more a-holy than the other here. I think both parties suffered from a lack of communication consideration. I think maybe there are reasons why they didn't want kids in the room. Like there's a lot of hustle and bustle. The bride maybe wants her own space with her own friends, with adults.
But there was already an 11-year-old in that room.
But 11 is different than 3. Like is what I'm saying. Like she should have had a separate space for the kids to just be and not melt down. 11 is different than 3. So there's on both sides, I can see the argument. Something maybe that slipped through the cracks. I don't see why weddings have to be so expensive for people who are not the ones getting married.
Yeah.
I think that was a lot of the problem here. I think the two sisters did not talk with each other.
Yeah.
It seems like at all. There were just a lot of assumptions going around.
Yeah.
So I think you will both have some culpability. I don't think anyone is particularly the a-hole.
Okay. Well, let's get into the comments. Comment number 1 says, I highly doubt the bridal room would have accommodated the quiet your toddler needed. Bridesmaids and brides usually end up chatting and squealing and laughing a lot. So I do get why your sister didn't want him in there. A bunch of giddy women and an overtired toddler is not a pleasant outcome for anyone. Though, yes, 100% your sister is a total butt for not making an arrangement for some kind of private day room, a quiet area, or anything for any of the kids to sit or lay quietly. Have a calm show on, maybe, where they can rest and get away from the adults, especially considering your sister requested your kids both be a part of the wedding party. And a reply to that says, why should she make accommodations? It's not her kid. A reply, because she requested for the kids to be there and play a role. Basic common sense. If you invite guests, you're agreeing to accommodate them to some degree. And there is an update. Let's get into it. I ended up texting with my sister again, and it honestly made everything worse.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, boy. She said she knew I'd cause drama somehow, and that's why she had our mom on standby to deal with me. She doubled down on blaming me for everything, including how I handled my kids, but refuses to acknowledge that she played any role in what happened. While we were in the waiting area before the ceremony, we actually did a run through, and my son was already losing it. She saw that he was overstimulated and not doing well, and still said it was ridiculous that I assumed he could use her room for him to nap. Then came the subtle digs. She made a comment like, maybe you shouldn't have let him down maple syrup for breakfast because he had a hotel waffle. As if syrup was the reason for a toddler meltdown, not exhaustion, noise, and chaos. It was just another way of calling me a bad mom, something she and my other sister have done for years. She said I was dramatic, ripped the kids away from her wedding, and that I need therapy. When I tried to talk to our other sister about how she handled things that day, she immediately denied any responsibility and then pivoted to say everyone in the family talks crap about you and dislikes you, and even tried to send me screenshots. I think it's time for us to limit our contact to our family members.
I'm having thoughts now. Based on this update, I think what happened is the sister didn't actually care about the niece and nephew. The sister didn't care about OP going to the wedding. She just wanted the optics of having cute kids at her wedding.
Yeah.
That's it. She wanted the photo of the little ring bearer, of the little flower girl. That's all she cared about. She didn't take the time to think about what the kids would need, about the happiness, about her own actual family. They're not family at that point. They're props.
Yeah, exactly.
So
They're just an aesthetic.
I am now more leaning to bride sister is more of the a-hole here.
Yeah.
Plus, also the third sister is just, why are you so stuck on causing drama?
Stirring the pot right now, just instead of being supportive. It's crazy.
Bubbling up on that chili.
I told her that kind of behavior is disgusting, and she backed off. Now they're both saying I'm weaponizing the kids by not letting them see them, but the truth is simpler than that. They refuse to acknowledge that they hurt my daughter. My daughter was genuinely excited to be a flower girl, and she did have her feelings hurt. I know if she sees them, she's going to ask what happened, and I know their response will be to blame me. Of course, I don't want to put her through that. I also pointed out that my sister never reached out to ask why I left the wedding, and I gave her an easy out. I even said all she had to do was admit it wasn't handled well and say she was sorry things turned out that way. But instead, she's firm on the idea that it's a me problem. I get it was her wedding day, but it was a small family event, and I was completely left to struggle with 2 kids while everyone else disappeared. I didn't make a scene. I didn't ruin anything. I quietly removed myself and the kids when it became clear no one was going to help or make space for them. And by the way, there's always space for you to listen to full episodes with stories like this one on Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, and you've got over 70 days worth of stories to listen to.
That's so much space.
So much space. Well, let's finish this this story. She's also now throwing the money in my face, saying she paid more than I did for us to be there. But it was her wedding. I paid what I could for travel, hotel, clothes, and more to show up for her, even in a tight financial situation. That is not something to weaponize. And she actually told me my son would have loved the wedding and wouldn't have had a meltdown if I had just stayed. Like toddler emotions can be logicked away with floral arrangements. The wildest part is everyone in the family is siding with her. I'm being treated like the villain when in reality I did what I had to do to protect my kids and not cause a scene. And for that, I've been completely written off. At this point, both her and my other sister fully expect me to apologize. It's beyond me and actually making me feel like maybe I am the crazy one. Well, they need to apologize because they totally excluded your daughter on purpose. And even if your 3-year-old's having a tantrum, your daughter could still be the flower girl. And it sucks that you would have to, keep your 3-year-old. Because no one wants the crying. If you did stay, they'd be like, your son ruined my wedding. They totally would. But it's just time to put up some boundaries and reduce that contact and, say la vie.